Okay, so we're diving into some pretty weighty stuff today, folks.
Yeah, no kidding.
We're talking about AI.
AI regulation or the lack thereof.
Right, yeah. President Trump's executive order on AI, the one aimed at, like,
Removing barriers.
removing barriers, to American AI leadership, which basically means cutting back on regulations.
Big time.
Yeah, and that's a big deal.
Huge implications.
Exactly. And, we want to really dig into those implications today.
Absolutely.
So first off, what exactly does this executive order do? Like, what regulations are we talking about here?
Well, it targets a lot of the existing policies that were put in place to, ensure, like, data privacy, security, and AI development, things like that.
Okay, so stuff that was supposed to, like, protect us
Right.
from the potential downsides of AI.
Precisely.
And the administration is saying these regulations are, like, holding us back.
Yeah, their argument is that it's slowing down progress, making it harder for American companies to compete in the global AI race.
So it's like a trade-off then.
Yeah, kind of like
Risk versus reward.
Exactly.
And I mean, your research pointed out some pretty big potential rewards, right?
Yeah.
Like advancements in healthcare.
Oh, absolutely.
Finance, automation, stuff that could actually, like, touch people's lives in a real way.
For sure. I mean, one of the articles you sent me talked about AI-powered tools that could detect diseases way earlier.
Like cancer.
Yeah, like cancer, things like that.
Wow, that would be amazing.
Total game changer, right? Early detection is huge.
Huge. Yeah, and that's just one example. I mean, think about all the other possibilities, like personalized financial advice.
Yeah.
Self-driving cars,
Mm.
the stuff that could make our lives easier and safer.
More efficient.
Exactly. And that's what the administration is really pushing,
Yeah, they're painting this picture of like a supercharged future.
Right.
Yeah.
And it is exciting.
It is.
But then there's the flip side, right?
Oh, yeah.
The potential downsides that we have to talk
I
about.
can't ignore those.
No, and one of the biggest concerns I saw in your research was this whole issue of bias in algorithms.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
There was that study you mentioned about hiring algorithms that were discriminating against women.
Right. And that's just one example.
Yeah. And it's like, if we're loosening regulations on AI, how do we make sure that these systems are fair?
That's the million-dollar question.
Right, because AI is only as good as the data it's trained on.
Exactly. And if the data is biased, the AI is going to be biased too.
And that could lead to some really messed up outcomes.
For sure, like discrimination, lack of opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. And that's scary, especially with less oversight.
It's a tough balance, trying to foster innovation but also safeguard against potential harm.
And then there's the whole data privacy thing.
Oh, yeah, that's another huge one.
Like, if companies have more freedom to collect and use our data for AI development, what happens to our privacy?
Right. I mean, one of the sources you shared from the Electronic Privacy Information Center, they were really concerned about this.
Yeah, they were saying that loosening these regulations could basically give companies free rein to collect and use our data however they want.
And that's a pretty unsettling thought.
Yeah, it is, because, AI is getting more and more sophisticated. It needs massive amounts of data to function.
Exactly.
So if there are no limits on data collection, who knows what could happen?
It could be a slippery slope.
Yeah. And, it's interesting because the U.S. has taken this really bold approach with deregulation, but other countries are doing things very differently.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
You mentioned the EU, for example. They're being much more cautious.
Way
more cautious, yeah. Like, their whole thing is data protection and ethical AI development.
Right. They've got the General Data Protection Regulation, the GDPR, which puts some pretty strict limits on data collection and use.
So they're kind of like the opposite of the U.S. in a way.
In a way, yeah. They're prioritizing caution over speed.
And then you've got China, who's like full steam ahead.
Yeah, they're investing tons of money in AI.
But not so much on the regulation side.
Not as much. Their focus is on rapid technological advancement.
So it's like three very different approaches.
It's fascinating, right?
Yeah, and it makes you wonder, like, is there a right answer?
I don't know if there is a right answer.
Yeah, because each approach has its own pros and cons.
Exactly.
Like, the U.S. might be able to innovate faster, but at what cost?
Right. And the EU might be slower, but maybe they'll avoid some of the pitfalls.
And China's approach, well, that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah, lots of unknowns.
So it's like we're in this uncharted territory, right?
Totally.
And no one knows for sure what the best way forward is.
And that's what makes this whole thing so fascinating and a little bit scary.
Yeah, it is. And, a conversation that we all need to be having
Absolutely.
because AI is changing the world, whether we like it or not.
It's happening.
And the choices that we make today are going to have a huge impact on the future.
They will.
So as you're listening to this, think about it. Like, what role do you believe regulation should play in AI development?
That's a good question to ponder.
Yeah, because it's not an easy question,
Not at all.
but it's one that we all need to start thinking about because the future of AI is in our hands,
It is.
and we need to make sure that we're shaping it in a way that benefits everyone.
I couldn't agree more.
So that's our deep dive for today, folks.
Food for thought.
Thanks for listening,
Thanks for having me.
and we'll catch you next time.
See ya.